Ladies and gentlemen, fear it is the invisible force that stops dreams, shackles ambitions, and silences the voice of greatness within each of us. Yet, fear itself is nothing more than a shadow, a creation of the mind that loses its power the moment we shine the light of courage upon it. Understand this: fear is the greatest enemy of progress. It paralyzes potential, and if left unchecked, it will keep you confined in a life far smaller than the one you were meant to live. But here's the truth: fear is often not rooted in reality. It is born from what we imagine, from the what-ifs and the maybes that cloud our vision. It is a phantom we create. Courage, my friends, is not the absence of fear. True courage is the mastery over fear. It is the choice to step forward, to act, even when your heart pounds and doubt whispers. Courage doesn't mean you never feel afraid, it means you refuse to let fear dictate your path. How do we conquer fear? The answer lies in faith in ourselves, in our purpose, in the vision we hold dear. When your belief burns brightly, fear begins to fade, and with every step you take, no matter how small, fear's grip weakens. Action is the antidote. Fear thrives in hesitation. Movement is its enemy. Every person who has ever achieved greatness has stared fear in the face. The difference is they refused to be ruled by it. Instead, they used fear as fuel, transforming it into energy that propelled them forward. Let your fear be the spark that lights your fire, not the chain that binds you. Train your mind daily. Visualize your success. Speak affirmations that drown out the doubts. Surround yourself with those who lift you higher and remind you of your strength. And when you stumble, and you will remember that failure is not a reason to retreat, but a stepping stone to mastery. So today, I urge you, have no fear, step into your power, let courage be your guide and faith your foundation. The life you dream of awaits beyond the barrier of fear. Break through it, and you will discover that you are far stronger and more capable than you ever imagined. Fear is the greatest enemy of progress, because it creates a wall that stands between us and our potential. When fear takes hold, it clouds our judgment and distorts reality, making challenges seem insurmountable and possibilities appear out of reach. Instead of pushing forward, fear encourages us to retreat, to stay within the confines of our comfort zones where risk feels minimized, but growth is stifled. It acts as a silent saboteur, whispering doubts and uncertainties that erode confidence and stop us from taking the first step toward our dreams. Progress requires movement, bold, decisive, and sometimes uncomfortable movement, and fear resists this by insisting on safety and caution. It convinces us that the unknown is dangerous, and that failure is something to be feared rather than embraced as a learning experience. This resistance slows momentum and prevents us from tapping into our creative solutions or discovering new paths. When we allow fear to dominate, we settle for less than we are capable of achieving and miss the opportunities that lie just beyond hesitation. Fear doesn't just stop us from acting, it also influences our mindset, breeding negativity and limiting beliefs that become self-fulfilling prophecies. It shifts focus from what could be achieved to what might go wrong. This fixation on potential obstacles paralyzes our will and dulls our ambition, ultimately leaving us stuck in a place of inaction and regret. To progress, we must recognize fear for what it truly is, an illusion that can be overcome by clarity, purpose, and a commitment to keep moving forward despite discomfort. The greatest advances in life, in business, and in personal growth come when we refuse to let fear dictate our choices. Every step we take in spite of fear chips away at its power, opening the door to new possibilities and expanding our horizons. Progress is born from courage, the courage to face uncertainty, to take risks, and to keep going even when the path is unclear. Only by confronting and overcoming fear can we break free from the chains that hold us back and move toward the full expression of our potential. Fear is often a product of imagination rather than reality because it arises not from what is actually happening, but from what we anticipate might happen in the future. Our minds have a remarkable ability to create vivid scenarios, sometimes wildly exaggerated, that feed our anxiety and hold us hostage to possibilities that may never come to pass. These imagined fears can become so real in our thoughts that they trigger physical reactions, a racing heart, sweaty palms, or a tightening chest. Yet, when we step back and examine the situation objectively, we often find that the dangers we feared were either greatly overstated or completely unfounded. This tendency to imagine worst-case scenarios can keep us stuck, preventing us from taking action or embracing opportunities. The mind tends to focus on what if, questions that spiral into negative outcomes, distracting us from the present moment and from the facts at hand. We might fear failure, rejection, or loss so intensely that we allow these imagined outcomes to define our choices, limiting our potential and stifling our growth. The truth is, many fears exist only as shadows cast by our imagination, not as concrete realities waiting to happen. Understanding that fear is often a creation of our own minds empowers us to challenge these thoughts. When we recognize that the threat is more mental than actual, we gain the clarity to respond with reason instead of panic. This realization helps us separate fact from fiction and reduces the power fear holds over us. By questioning the validity of our fears and confronting the imagined stories we tell ourselves, we can regain control and make decisions based on truth and confidence rather than on unfounded anxiety. This awareness frees us to move forward with courage. Instead of being paralyzed by what might go wrong, we begin to focus on what is actually possible. We learn to trust our ability to handle challenges as they come, rather than being trapped by the endless what-ifs that our imagination can generate. In this way, fear loses its grip, and the path to growth and success becomes clearer. Courage is not the absence of fear, but mastery over it, because feeling fear is a natural and inevitable part of being human. It is impossible to live fully without encountering moments of uncertainty, doubt, or danger. Courage does not mean that these feelings disappear. Rather, it means that we do not allow them to control our actions or dictate our decisions. True courage is found in the ability to acknowledge fear, accept its presence, and still move forward with determination and purpose. It's the choice to face what intimidates us instead of turning away, to confront challenges head on even when our hearts are pounding and our minds are filled with apprehension. Mastery over fear means developing an inner strength that enables us to rise above the paralysis that fear can cause. It is the conscious effort to refuse to be held captive by our anxieties and to act despite them. This mastery grows through experience and practice. Each time we choose to confront our fears, we build resilience and confidence, proving to ourselves that fear is not an insurmountable barrier, but a signal that pushes us to grow. Courage is about recognizing that fear is simply one part of the journey, not the final destination. When we master fear, we take control of our lives rather than allowing fear to dictate the terms. It empowers us to take risks, embrace change, and pursue goals that might have seemed impossible before. Courage transforms fear from a roadblock into a stepping stone, providing the momentum we need to advance. It means understanding that fear is not a weakness to be ashamed of, but a natural emotion that, when faced and managed wisely, becomes a source of strength and growth. In this way, courage is not about being fearless. It's about being brave enough to keep going when fear is present. Faith and belief in oneself are powerful antidotes to fear because they create a foundation of trust and confidence that no fear can easily shake. When you truly believe in your own abilities, your purpose, and the path you are walking, fear loses its power to overwhelm you. This faith acts like a shield, protecting your mind from the doubts and anxieties that try to creep in when you face uncertainty or challenge. It replaces hesitation with certainty and paralysis with action, allowing you to move forward with a sense of assurance even when the outcome is unclear. Belief in oneself fuels resilience. It reminds you that you have faced difficulties before and emerged stronger, that you possess the inner resources necessary to handle whatever comes next. This self-trust acts as a compass, guiding you through moments of confusion and fear by anchoring you to your values and goals. Without faith in your own capacity, fear can take root easily, growing into a barrier that blocks progress and dims your vision. But with belief, you cultivate an unshakable sense of hope and possibility that shines brighter than any shadow of doubt. Faith in oneself inspires persistence. It encourages you to keep trying when setbacks occur, to learn from mistakes rather than be defeated by them. It turns fear of failure into motivation to improve, pushing you to rise again and again until success is within reach. When you hold a strong belief in who you are and what you can achieve, fear becomes less of a threat and more of a challenge to overcome. It changes the story you tell yourself, from one of limitation and worry to one of strength and determination. In essence, faith and belief in oneself are the fuel that transforms fear from a paralyzing force into a temporary obstacle. They remind you that you are capable, worthy, and resilient, empowering you to act boldly even in the face of fear. With this inner conviction, fear loses its grip, and the path to growth and achievement becomes clear and attainable. Taking decisive action weakens fear's grip because fear thrives in uncertainty and hesitation. When we delay or avoid making choices, our minds fill the silence with doubt and worst case scenarios, allowing fear to grow unchecked. But the moment we decide to act, we break the cycle of worry and stop fear from controlling our thoughts and emotions. Action creates momentum, and momentum fuels confidence. Each step forward, no matter how small, chips away at the power that fear holds over us. It replaces the paralyzing "what if" questions with real experiences and tangible progress. Decisive action shifts the focus from imagined dangers to concrete reality. When we move forward, we gather information, learn, and adapt, turning uncertainty into clarity. Even if the first step doesn't lead to immediate success, it provides valuable lessons and builds resilience. This process of trial and effort diminishes fear's ability to intimidate because we realize we can handle challenges as they arise. Fear loses its strength when faced with the evidence of our capability and determination. Taking action demonstrates self-trust. It signals to ourselves that we believe in our judgment and ability to navigate obstacles. This confidence further weakens fear's hold, creating a positive cycle where courage breeds more courage. Waiting for fear to disappear before acting only gives it more time to grow. But choosing to move forward despite fear teaches us that fear is not an obstacle, but a signal to prepare and proceed. Decisive action empowers us to reclaim control over our lives. It reminds us that we are not victims of circumstance, but active creators of our destiny. By taking bold steps, we silence fear's voice and open the door to opportunity, growth, and success. Each act of courage builds a foundation stronger than any fear can topple. Every successful person has faced fear because fear is a universal experience, not a sign of weakness or failure. It is part of the journey toward achievement and growth. What distinguishes those who succeed is not the absence of fear, but their response to it. They have stood at crossroads filled with uncertainty and doubt, feeling the weight of anxiety just like anyone else. Yet, instead of allowing fear to paralyze them, they chose to confront it, to push through it, and to keep moving forward regardless of the discomfort it caused. Fear often signals that we are stepping outside our comfort zones and into new territory where growth happens. Successful people recognize this and understand that fear is not an enemy to be avoided, but a challenge to be met with determination. They use fear as a guidepost that highlights areas where they need to prepare, learn, or grow stronger. They have learned that fear can coexist with confidence, and that courage means taking action even when fear is present. Those who achieve greatness know that fear is temporary, but regret from inaction can last a lifetime. They understand that progress requires risk, and risk naturally invites fear. Yet, by embracing fear as a natural part of the process, they develop resilience and inner strength. Each time they face their fears, they grow bolder, more confident, and more capable of handling whatever lies ahead. In essence, fear is a companion on the road to success, not a barrier. Every great achievement is built on moments when fear was present but did not win. By acknowledging fear and refusing to be ruled by it, successful people transform fear into fuel that propels them beyond limits and into new realms of possibility. Fear can be transformed into fuel for success when we learn to harness its energy instead of letting it consume us. Rather than seeing fear as a stopping point, we can view it as a powerful signal that something important lies ahead, a challenge or opportunity that requires our full attention and effort. Fear triggers a surge of adrenaline and heightened awareness, preparing us to respond to danger or uncertainty. When redirected with intention, this same energy can be channeled into focus, motivation, and determination, driving us to work harder, think more creatively, and persevere longer than we might have otherwise. Instead of shrinking back, successful people use fear as a catalyst to sharpen their skills and clarify their goals. It pushes them to prepare more thoroughly, to anticipate obstacles, and to develop solutions. Fear heightens our sensitivity to potential risks, encouraging us to act with caution, but also with courage. By embracing fear as a natural and necessary part of growth, we tap into a source of strength that can propel us forward even in the face of difficulty. This transformation requires a shift in mindset, from viewing fear as a threat to seeing it as an ally. When we stop fighting fear and start working with it, fear's energy no longer drains us but energizes us. It fuels late night efforts, fuels innovation born from urgency, and fuels the resilience to keep going after setbacks. Fear becomes a reminder that we are pushing boundaries and stepping into new possibilities. Fear turned into fuel becomes a driving force behind success, motivating us to rise higher, push further, and achieve more than we thought possible. It teaches us that the feelings that once threatened to hold us back can actually be the very ones that push us forward. Visualization and affirmations train the mind to overcome fear and build confidence by reshaping the thoughts and beliefs that often fuel our anxieties. When we visualize success, we create a mental image of ourselves achieving our goals, facing challenges with calm and strength, and moving forward with unwavering determination. This mental rehearsal prepares the brain for real life situations, making the unknown feel more familiar and less intimidating. Visualization helps to replace fearful thoughts with positive, empowering ones, creating a sense of possibility rather than limitation. Affirmations work hand in hand with visualization by reinforcing these positive beliefs through repeated, intentional statements. When we affirm our capabilities, worth, and resilience, we begin to rewrite the internal narrative that fear tries to impose. Instead of thinking, I can't handle this, or I'm going to fail, we tell ourselves, I am capable, I am strong, and I am prepared. Over time, these affirmations build new neural pathways in the brain, strengthening our self-confidence and reducing the automatic reactions of fear and doubt. Together, visualization and affirmations create a powerful practice that trains the mind to expect success and to respond to challenges with courage and clarity. They help us focus on what we want to achieve rather than what we fear might go wrong. This mental conditioning primes us to act with confidence, making fear less of a barrier and more of a passing sensation. By regularly engaging in these practices, we build a mental fortress where confidence grows and fear diminishes, enabling us to step forward boldly into the life we envision. Surrounding yourself with positive influences strengthens your courage and resolve because the people and environments we choose to engage with have a profound impact on our mindset and emotional well-being. When we are around those who encourage us, believe in our potential, and support our goals, we absorb their energy and optimism, which in turn bolsters our own confidence. Positive influences provide encouragement during moments of doubt and act as a source of inspiration when fear threatens to take hold. Their belief in us helps us to believe in ourselves more deeply. Being in a supportive environment also offers valuable perspective. When fear tries to convince us that we are alone or incapable, positive influences remind us that challenges are part of the journey and that we have the strength to overcome them. They share their own experiences of struggle and success, normalizing fear as a natural emotion rather than a sign of failure. This shared wisdom reduces feelings of isolation and empowers us to face our fears with greater resilience. Positive influences often challenge us to think differently and push beyond our comfort zones. They encourage action and celebrate progress, no matter how small, reinforcing the habit of courage in daily life. Their support creates a safe space where we can take risks, learn from mistakes, and grow without fear of judgment. This nurturing environment fuels our determination to keep moving forward even when fear lingers. Surrounding yourself with positivity creates a ripple effect, strengthening not only your courage and resolve, but also your overall ability to face adversity. It reminds you that fear does not have to be faced alone, and that with the right support, you can rise above it stronger than ever. Embracing failure as a learning step rather than a reason for fear or retreat is essential to growth and success. Failure is not the opposite of success, but a vital part of the journey toward it. When we view failure through this lens, we begin to see it not as a permanent defeat, but as a valuable teacher that provides insight and experience. Each failure offers lessons that help us understand what doesn't work, what needs improvement, and how to adapt our strategies moving forward. This perspective removes the sting of fear because failure becomes a natural, expected part of progress, rather than a catastrophic event to be avoided at all costs. When fear of failure dominates, it creates hesitation, doubt, and a reluctance to take risks, all of which stunt growth. But when we embrace failure as an opportunity to learn, we free ourselves to experiment, innovate, and stretch beyond our current limits. We become more resilient because we understand that setbacks are temporary and that every attempt brings us closer to our goals. Failure, then, is not a reason to retreat, but a stepping stone that builds strength and wisdom. This mindset shift also encourages persistence. Instead of allowing a single failure to define us, we learn to bounce back, recalibrate, and try again with renewed determination. It fosters humility and openness, making us better problem solvers and more adaptable in the face of change. By seeing failure as a necessary part of the process, fear loses its grip and courage grows. Embracing failure as a learning step transforms how we approach challenges. It allows us to take bold action, knowing that even if we stumble, we are gaining valuable knowledge and experience that will propel us forward. This attitude turns fear into fuel for growth and opens the door to achieving our fullest potential. Fear is not the barrier that defines us, it is the challenge that refines us. When we refuse to let fear control our lives, when we meet it with courage, faith, and decisive action, we unlock a power within ourselves that is unstoppable. Remember, fear is simply the signal that you are on the edge of something great. Step forward boldly, for beyond fear lies the life you were meant to live, the success you were destined to achieve, and the person you were born to become. Have no fear and claim your greatness.